For months, a mother in Portland, Oregon, heard her 5-year-old son repeat the same words every single night. "My planet is dead, Mom. I came here to warn you." At first, Vivian thought it was just a child's wild imagination. But those words kept returning night after night with the same tone of urgency and sorrow. And that's when she realized this wasn't coming from a dream. It was coming from somewhere else. Somewhere impossible. We share these and other incredible reincarnation stories here on Reincarnation Chronicles. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a case that challenges everything we think we know about life, death, and memory. Now, let's begin. "Mom, why does the air hurt here?" Those were the words that woke Vivian one October morning in their small apartment near downtown Portland. Her son Liam stood at the foot of her bed, staring at her with eyes far too old for a 5-year-old. His brown hair was messy from sleep, but his gaze was sharp, focused almost, haunted. Vivian sat up slowly, her heart beating faster than it should. "What do you mean, sweetheart? The air doesn't hurt." Liam tilted his head. "It did there. We breathed metal and dust. It burned our lungs." Vivian froze. That phrase, metal and dust. She had heard him say it before, mumbled in his sleep, scribbled in crooked letters on the back of his drawings. But this time he said it clearly, calmly, like he was remembering a fact from school. Except no school taught children about breathing metal. Vivian was a high school literature teacher in the United States, rational and grounded. She didn't believe in past lives or mystical things. But Liam wasn't like other children. While his classmates drew superheroes and rainbows, Liam drew ruins, cracked towers, dry riverbeds, a blood-red sky hanging over endless dust. And in the corner of every drawing, in shaky handwriting, he wrote the same thing: Arcan. She asked him once what it meant. "That's where I lived before," he said, simply. "Before I came here." Vivian tried to brush it off. Imagination, a phase. But then, one afternoon, out of curiosity, she typed one of his phrases into Google. "Breathing iron and dust." The search results made her blood run cold. NASA research confirmed that Mars's atmosphere contains iron oxide, rust particles suspended in the air. Breathing it would feel like inhaling metal shavings. Vivian stared at the screen for a long time. How could a 5-year-old know that? The next morning, Liam asked another strange question. "Mom, does the sun sleep here?" Vivian smiled, trying to stay calm. "Of course it does, honey. When it gets dark, the sun goes to the other side of the world." Liam shook his head slowly. "It didn't sleep there. The sky was always red, always the same." She decided to start writing everything down, every sentence, every word, every drawing. She kept a notebook by her bed, filling it with Liam's strange memories. Sometimes he woke up sweating in the middle of the dead night, whispering, "The dust is coming back. The color is changing. It's starting again." His voice carried a weight no child should have. One night, Vivian recorded a video. Liam sat calmly at the kitchen table, explaining what he remembered. She posted it in a parenting group online, thinking maybe someone could explain it. Within hours, the video went viral. Thousands of comments poured in. Some people laughed, others were disturbed, but one message stood out. It was from a man who introduced himself as Dr. Marcus Hale, an astrophysicist and consultant for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. "Vivian, I need to speak with your son. What he's describing concerns me deeply." The next day, she received his call. Dr. Hale's voice was calm, measured, professional. "I don't want to frighten Liam. I just want to understand what he's saying." They agreed to meet that Saturday afternoon at a quiet cafe in Portland. Dr. Hale brought a voice recorder and sat across from Liam, who looked small in the oversized chair. The doctor smiled gently. "Liam, do you remember the place where you lived before you were born here?" Liam nodded. "Yes." "What was it called?" "Archon." "And where was Archon?" Liam pointed toward the window, toward the sky. "Out there. Near here, but drier. It had 2 moons. The sky was red because the air was burning." Dr. Hale leaned forward, his expression shifting. "The air was burning?" "Yes," Liam said quietly. "We breathed iron and dust. The plants died first, then the rivers. We dug for water, but we only found salt." Dr. Hale glanced at Vivian, his face pale. "He's describing the exact oxidation process of Martian soil. And the salt deposits in the craters. NASA confirmed those in 2008, but how?" Liam continued, picking up a crayon and drawing circles, lines, triangles on a napkin. He pointed to a dark spot in the center. "This was the city of halos. It was near the Great Rift. We called it the Pulse." Dr. Hale stared at the drawing in silence. "There is a massive rift on Mars called Valles Marineris, stretching over 2,500 miles across the planet's surface. And the area Liam had drawn resembled Candor Chasma, one of its deepest regions." The doctor's hands trembled slightly as he folded the napkin and placed it carefully in his bag. Days later, Dr. Hale sent the materials to a colleague at Stanford University in the United States. The analysis came back astonishing. Liam's drawings matched real satellite images of Mars with 81% accuracy. "This can't be coincidence," the researcher wrote. "Either this child has seen these images, which seems highly unlikely, or he knows something we don't." Vivian began receiving messages from journalists, researchers, even spiritual groups, but she refused most interviews. "He doesn't understand what's happening to him," she told them. "He just says what he feels." Still, the nights remained the same. Liam woke up drenched in sweat, whispering phrases in a language she didn't recognize. "It's going to happen again. The sky will break." One morning at breakfast, Liam looked up from his cereal and asked, "Mom, can Earth die too?" Vivian hesitated, her throat tight. "No, sweetheart, of course not." Liam stared at her with those 2 old eyes. "That's what we said there, too." That sentence echoed in Vivian's mind for days. She wrote it down, circled it, stared at it. She started keeping a journal, trying to decode some hidden message in her son's words. The case caught the attention of a documentary team from a public television network in the United States. They wanted to investigate. They filmed interviews, conducted medical exams, and asked Liam to build the place where he used to live using clay. Liam carefully molded tunnels, domes, and small vehicles. He explained as he worked, "We lived underground because the light hurt our eyes." An aerospace engineer who consulted on the ExoMars mission watched the footage and remarked, "This type of structure is exactly what we're studying for future human colonies on Mars. It's impossible for a child to invent this on his own." But the strangest part was yet to come. Liam began developing sensitivity to light. His eyes watered in bright sunlight. Sometimes he coughed for no medical reason. During these episodes, he would say, "The air is heavy again. It's breaking." Clinical tests showed nothing abnormal, but a more detailed analysis revealed something disturbing. Tiny metallic particles were found inside Liam's nasal passages. Microscopic traces of rust. No doctor could explain their origin. Meanwhile, the original video had surpassed 3 million views. Theories multiplied across the internet. Some believed Liam was the reincarnation of a Martian. Others claimed he carried genetic memories from a lost civilization. Skeptics insisted it was all coincidence, imagination, parental coaching. But almost no one noticed that Liam never used the word Mars. He always called the place Arkan, and he said the color of the sky there was like Earth's sunset, except the sun never set. Dr. Hale revisited archives from the Viking probes that landed on Mars in 1976. Among thousands of photographs, he found one showing the Martian horizon at dusk, a permanent twilight glow, exactly as Liam had described it. Days later, Liam's school reported unusual behavior. During a lesson about the solar system, the teacher showed a picture of Mars. Liam raised his hand and said, "That's not quite right. The sky is lighter there, and the ground has cracks like when fire dries mud." The teacher asked where he had learned that. Liam said simply, "I didn't learn it. I remembered it." The case began drawing interest from scientists in Japan. Researchers from Kyoto University, specialists in consciousness and memory, invited Vivian and Liam to participate in a series of tests. In a sterile, white room, they showed Liam dozens of images, some real photographs of Mars, others digitally altered simulations. Liam identified real ones without hesitation. When they showed him one image upside down, he corrected them immediately. "It's wrong. You flipped it." The sensors monitoring his brain recorded unusual activity. High-frequency waves in areas linked to long-term memory, something rare, especially in a 5-year-old child. The final report stated, "If this pattern is confirmed, it may represent a type of non-linear memory, something that transcends time and the physical body." Vivian read the report in silence. Liam was asleep in the next room, but she knew this story was far from over. She looked out the window at the fading light over Portland, and for the first time, she wondered if her son was remembering the past or warning about the future. And you? What would you do if your child said they remembered a planet that had already died? Leave a comment below and share this story with someone who believes nothing happens by chance. Liam's case had moved beyond the screen. What started as a curious viral video was now attracting serious scientific attention across the United States. Dr. Marcus Hale, the astrophysicist who had first interviewed him, couldn't let it go. "There's something different about this boy," he told his colleagues at NASA. "This isn't just imagination." Vivian agreed to cooperate further, but she set one firm condition. "No more exposing my son. He's just a child. I don't want this turning into a circus." Even so, the mystery was already in the air, and the more they tried to contain it, the more evidence appeared. If you haven't subscribed to Reincarnation Chronicles yet, do it now so you can follow the next chapters of this investigation that's only just beginning. In the following weeks, Dr. Hale assembled a small, discreet team: a child psychologist, a geologist, and a linguist. They wanted to understand whether Liam was simply repeating information he'd absorbed somewhere, or if he was accessing knowledge he couldn't possibly have learned. The first test was straightforward. They showed him images of different planets: Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter. When Mars appeared on the screen, Liam went silent. Then he pointed. "This one. But we called it Arkan." Dr. Hale asked what he remembered from there. Liam's voice was soft but certain. "It was beautiful before it died." There were trees, but they dried up. The water started disappearing and the air got heavy. Then everything broke. Everything broke? The sky cracked. The wind carried the air away. The psychologist observed quietly, taking notes. The way Liam spoke, calm, deliberate, consistent, didn't sound like a story invented by a child. His descriptions were coherent, far too technical for a 5-year-old in Portland, Oregon. Over the next few days, they tested Liam's visual memory more rigorously. They showed him photographs of the Martian surface captured by recent rovers and orbiters. In one image, Liam pointed to a specific region. That was the city of Halos, he said. According to NASA maps, the location he indicated was in the Candor Chasma region of Valles Marineris, exactly where he had drawn it weeks earlier. Dr. Hale sent the video recordings to colleagues at the European Space Agency. The reply came 2 days later. What this child describes matches real formations in the central region of Valles Marineris. We don't know how to explain this. Meanwhile, Liam's behavior at home began to shift. He spent hours staring at the sky, especially during sunset. Sometimes he whispered to himself, "It looks the same." Vivian tried to maintain their normal routine, but fear was creeping in. News stories about the case multiplied. The more she tried to protect her son, the more curious people appeared at their door. Strangers knocked, asking to see the boy from Mars. She stopped answering her phone at night. One morning at breakfast, Liam asked, "Mom, why don't you listen to the planet?" Vivian looked up, confused. "What do you mean, listen?" "It talks. I still hear Archon crying." Vivian felt a chill run down her spine. Liam said he could hear a low sound, like wind, even in complete silence. Dr. Hale asked permission to bring Liam to a lab in the United States for acoustic testing. There, they placed headphones on him and ran tests with inaudible frequencies, both short and long waves. Liam reacted precisely when the tone matched a vibration recorded by the Perseverance rover in 2021. The sound frequency of Martian wind captured 140 million miles from Earth. Dr. Hale was stunned. He recognized a sound recorded on another planet. Days later, Vivian noticed something even stranger. Liam began drawing symbols. They looked like letters, but from no known language. When she asked what they were, he replied, "It's the names of people there. We used to write with light." The linguist analyzed the markings carefully. They didn't belong to any known alphabet, but they showed rhythmic repetitions, like phonetic patterns. "It's a logical structure," she explained. "Either someone taught him this, or he's remembering something he once knew." That same week, Liam's school in Portland contacted Vivian. During a science class, the teacher had shown a slide about Mars. Liam raised his hand and corrected her. "The ground isn't like that. It's more cracked. When the heat rose, the soil opened and fire came from underneath." The class laughed, but the teacher, curious, did some research afterward. She discovered that Mars does have underground fissures that release heated gas, exactly as Liam had described. Vivian began to realize this wasn't coincidence. It was a pattern impossible to ignore. Dr. Hale decided to document everything systematically. He compiled a detailed report with videos, transcripts, test results, and drawings. The document was sent to universities in 3 countries, Japan, Germany, and research institutions in the United States. 2 laboratories responded with serious interest. The first, in Kyoto, proposed a series of neurological tests to study Liam's memory patterns. The second, in Boston, suggested something even bolder: a monitored regression session using advanced brain sensors. Vivian refused immediately. He's a child, not an experiment. But she agreed to non-invasive exams. And that's when the strangest discovery of all appeared. While Liam spoke about Archon, the monitors recorded sudden spikes of activity in areas of the brain linked to deep memory. Regions that, according to neurologists, shouldn't be that developed in a 5-year-old. Additionally, his heart rate changed every time he mentioned the word dust. Dr. Hale wrote in his notes, "There's an authentic emotional response here. He physically feels what he's saying." At the end of one session, Liam looked at the doctor and asked, "Do you believe me now?" Dr. Hale hesitated. "I believe you've seen something, Liam." The boy shook his head slowly. "I didn't see it. I lived it." That sentence changed everything. From that moment, Liam's case stopped being just a scientific curiosity. It began to be treated as a possible record of extra-biological memory, something that could challenge the very definition of what it means to exist and remember. Newspapers across the United States started calling him the boy from Mars. But Liam insisted every time, "It's not Mars, it's Archon." For Vivian, the label didn't matter. What frightened her was the look in her son's eyes. Sometimes he seemed far away, as if staring beyond time itself. One night, before falling asleep, Liam said something she would never forget. "Mom, there we also tried to warn them, but no one listened." Vivian held his small hand tightly. "Warn them about what, sweetheart?" Liam's voice was barely a whisper. "That the heir was going to die." Silence filled the room. She couldn't answer. The case continued to spread. Dr. Hale presented Liam's story at an international conference on consciousness and memory. Reincarnation researchers from around the world became fascinated. Experts from India, Thailand, and various universities in the United States wanted to meet the boy. But Vivian remained protective. She only allowed researchers she trusted, people who wouldn't harm her son, to interact with him. During this time, Liam began writing his memories in a notebook. Of course, a 5-year-old couldn't write long texts, but he described Archon's final days in simple, haunting sentences. Vivian helped him, carefully recording what he said. One evening, Liam said something that made her cry. "Mom, when I died as Timur, I was very angry. I felt betrayed. But now, as Liam, I'm not so angry anymore. Because I understand that life can be unfair sometimes. But that doesn't mean we should become bad. We should still be good. We should still tell the truth." Vivian was struck by the maturity in his words. A 5-year-old child speaking with the wisdom of ages. One day, Dr. Hale planned a special trip. He took Liam and Vivian to the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum in Washington. The museum displayed artifacts related to Mars exploration. Rovers, models, photographs, and samples of meteorites believed to have originated from the red planet. When Liam saw the meteorite fragment, he froze. He stood motionless in front of the glass case for a long time. Then, he reached out his small hand, as if trying to touch it. "This," he whispered. "This is like the ground there. But ours had more cracks, more fire underneath." Dr. Hale asked gently, "How do you know, Liam?" The boy began explaining Archon's geology in surprising detail. He talked about underground heat, surface fractures, and how the dust storms began when the cracks widened. A museum curator overheard the conversation and approached, astonished. Where did this child learn all of this? Dr. Hale simply smiled. "It's a long story," After the museum visit, they walked along the National Mall. Liam looked up at the clear blue sky and said something unexpected. Timur was afraid of open sky. We lived underground for so long. The sky felt too big, too empty. That's why we couldn't leave when the end came. Vivian looked at her son. But you're not afraid now, are you, Liam? He shook his head. No, because I'm Liam now, and Liam knows the sky is beautiful. Maybe one day I'll even learn to fly. That moment gave Vivian hope. Her son was beginning to separate himself from the memories. He was learning to be Liam, not just Timur. At the end of the school year, Liam's kindergarten held a small graduation ceremony. Children came on stage and sang songs, recited poems, showed drawings. When it was Liam's turn, he walked to the front and said something no one expected. My name is Liam. I'm 5 years old, but I'm also very old because I come from the past. And I want to tell you something. Be kind to everyone. Be fair to everyone, because life is very short. And if you do bad things, they'll be remembered for a very long time. But good things are remembered too. I'm going to try to be good. You should try too. The parents in the audience were silent for a moment. Then they began to clap. Softly at first, then louder. The children didn't fully understand what Liam had said, but they sensed he was serious. After the ceremony, another mother approached Vivian. Your son is very different, she said, but he's also very special. You should be proud of him. Vivian smiled, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Yes, he really is special. When summer arrived, Vivian decided to take Liam to a horse ranch outside Portland. He had always been fascinated by animals, but he'd never ridden a horse before. When they arrived at the ranch, Liam saw the horses and his face lit up. Mom, look! Horses! But they're not like ours. Ours were smaller, stronger. Archon horses were built for dust storms. The ranch owner, an older man with kind eyes, approached. Would you like to ride, little man? Liam hesitated. Can I? I'm small. We have a pony just your size. Come on, I'll show you. They led Liam to a small, calm pony named Rusty. But what happened next surprised everyone. Liam approached the pony slowly. He gently placed his hand on its neck and whispered something, words no one understood. The pony, which the owner said was usually skittish with strangers, immediately calmed and leaned into Liam's touch. That's strange, the owner muttered. Rusty doesn't usually trust people that fast. When Liam climbed onto the pony's back, something even more unusual happened. Though he'd never ridden before, his posture was perfect. His balance was natural. He moved with the pony as if he'd been riding for years. The ranch owner watched, shaking his head. This boy's a natural. You should consider riding lessons. He's got real talent. Vivian looked at Dr. Hale, who had come along, and smiled sadly. Timur's legacy, she whispered. That summer, Liam learned to ride. Every week they returned to the ranch, and each time the boy seemed a little happier, a little lighter. It was as if a missing piece of Timur was being completed, allowed to rest. One afternoon, as he dismounted, Liam said to his mother, Mom, I think I've forgiven Timur now. Vivian knelt down beside him. Forgiven him for what, sweetheart? Timur was very angry. He was hurt because his world ended and no one listened. But now, I forgive him. I tell him, you did your best. You were good. And now, I'll keep being good for you. Vivian pulled her son into her arms, tears streaming down her face. "You have such a big heart, Liam." As autumn approached, Liam prepared to start first grade. On the first day of school, his new teacher, Mrs. Angela Torres, asked each child to introduce themselves. When it was Liam's turn, he stood up confidently. "My name is Liam. I'm 5 years old. I'm special because I came from the past, but now I'm here, and I want to be your friend." Some children giggled, others looked curious. Mrs. Torres smiled warmly. "Welcome, Liam. We're glad you're here." The first few months were difficult. Some children still found him strange, but others, especially a boy named Jonah, became close friends with him. One day, Jonah asked, "Did you really live on another planet?" Liam nodded. "Yes, it was called Arkan. I was there a long time ago." Jonah's eyes widened. "That's so cool. Tell me about it." And Liam did. Jonah listened carefully, never laughing, never doubting. "You're lucky," Jonah said. "Most people only live once. You get to live twice." Liam smiled. "Yes, but it's hard sometimes. Being two people isn't easy." "But you're strong," Jonah said. "You were a survivor, and survivors are always strong." That friendship meant everything to Liam. He had finally found someone who understood him. One day in history class, Mrs. Torres talked about space exploration. She mentioned Mars and the rovers NASA had sent there. Liam raised his hand. "Teacher, I knew Mars." The class laughed. Mrs. Torres smiled gently. "How did you know it, Liam?" "I lived there. It was dying, but it was beautiful once. The dust storms were scary, but the sunsets lasted forever." Mrs. Torres saw the seriousness in his eyes. "That's very interesting, Liam. You must have read a lot about it." "No," Liam said quietly. "I remember it." After class, Mrs. Torres spoke with Vivian. She asked about Liam's story. Vivian told her everything. The teacher listened, shocked. When Vivian finished, Mrs. Torres said, "I believe him. I don't know how or why, but I believe him." From that day on, she treated Liam with extra care, making sure he always felt safe and understood. When winter came and snow fell over Portland, Liam stood at the window, watching the white flakes drift down. "Mom, it snowed on Archon too. Just once, at the very end, before everything went quiet." Vivian stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder. "But here, snow is beautiful, isn't it?" Liam nodded. "Yes. Here it's different. Here it's hope." Years passed. Liam grew older. Timur's memories faded slowly, but they never disappeared completely. By the time Liam reached high school in the United States, he had learned to live with both identities. He joined the science club and gave presentations about Mars, always weaving in Archon's story. Some believed him, some didn't, but Liam didn't mind anymore. In college, he studied planetary science. He wrote his thesis on the collapse of Mars's atmosphere, dedicating a large section to the theoretical civilization of Archon. He used historical models, climate data, and his own memories to construct a timeline of how a planet dies. During his thesis defense, one professor asked, "Why focus so heavily on this theoretical civilization?" Liam smiled. "Because they tried to warn us. And I think we should listen." The room was silent. Then the professors nodded. "A passionate and thorough work. Well done." After graduation, Liam became a science educator, teaching children about space, planets, and the fragility of life. Every year, he told his students about Archon. He asked them, "What does this story teach us?" And every year, the answers were the same. Take care of the planet. Listen to warnings. Don't ignore the truth. Liam always smiled. Yes, exactly. In his 30s, Liam was invited to speak at a reincarnation conference. He shared his story with hundreds of people. After his talk, a woman approached him. "I'm a geologist, and what you described matches recent discoveries we've made about Mars's magnetic field collapse. You were right." Liam's eyes filled with tears. "So, Archon was real?" She nodded. "In some way, yes, it was real." That night, sitting alone in his hotel room, Liam felt a presence beside him. It was Tamor, and Tamor was finally at peace. "Thank you," the voice whispered. "You made them listen. You didn't let me be forgotten." Liam smiled through his tears. "We did it together." And from that moment, he never heard Tamor's voice again. But it wasn't sad, because Tamor was free. His mission was complete. Liam continued his work, his life, his purpose. He married, had children, and told them the story of Archon. He taught them to care for Earth, to listen to warnings, to never ignore the cries of a dying world. And sometimes, on quiet nights in Portland, when the sky turned red at sunset, Liam would look up and whisper, "I remember you, Archon. I'll never forget." Because some memories don't fade. Some warnings echo across time. And some souls return, not to relive the past, but to change the future. Liam's story teaches us that the past is never truly gone. It shapes us, it warns us, and if we listen carefully, it can save us. And you? Do you believe some souls carry memories from other worlds? Do you think the universe tries to warn us before we repeat the same mistakes? Comment below and share this story with someone who believes that nothing in this life happens by chance.